Hey, welcome to the video. But before we get to the video, I want to show you guys a fantastic place. Do you want some prints? Do you want some art that's absolutely fantastic and also supports local artists? Then why don't you go over to our Etsy page? We have all this art that everybody loves, like Samurai Jack. We got Legend of Zelda stuff. It's so fantastic. Why not go over there right now and purchase something so that we can continue making videos for you guys? Because we're artists. That's all we are. And let's just say we need money to continue to make these amazing videos. So why don't you show your support for us and go over there? Thank you. And now, on with the video.
Hey peeps, my name is Cory, and today we're doing something a little bit different than what our normal speed paints look like. Right now I'm actually going to do a quick speed paint video tutorial, kind of like, it's just a tutorial on arting or how I art. There's different things that we're going to be covering today, like say the key points that I have for you guys. And the key points that we have today are feathering, or the feathering technique, for whenever you're sketching or anything like that. It's whenever you have short brush strokes instead of long drawn out finished brush strokes. It's just going to be quick, get the idea on paper, that's all it is. And it's kind of like a gestural type of drawing. And that's what the feathering technique pretty much goes like hand in hand with, is a gestural type drawing. And also we're going to be talking about layers. Layers are going to be your best friend whenever it comes to doing anything, whenever it comes to digital art. And if you're going to be doing traditional art, I mean, layers are not going to be to you, but also you could also say that you can use layers in traditional art. And that would be like painting and painting different layers of color. You also have, we're going to go over like inking like a pro, or trying to ink as close to a pro as possible, the easiest way to do that, and how you can use layers to make it so that you can ink a whole lot better, so that your line arts actually look crisp and clean instead of having really weird edges to it. Also, we're going to be learning how to cheat whenever it comes to filling in base colors for your characters or anything that you're drawing, and figured out a quick way to do that. So I'm just going to share it with you guys so that whenever you guys decide to art, it's a little bit easier for you guys. Alright, so how's about we get into it? And I'm going to be watching this video alongside you guys, so let's see how I did it. So at the very beginning, before we even start, at the very beginning, the base model, because this character that I drew, I nicknamed him Mr. Scrappy, but he's going to be for something a little bit down the line. But the reason why I sketched him out like this, I had an idea on the form, or the what's the word? Pretty much how he looks like, or how a base character in this scenario will look like. And that's very important to have an idea of how you're going to be creating this character. If you go in blind, then you're going to have thousands and thousands of different things change while you're trying to sketch out your character. So this guy, I already had a basic idea of how I'm going to have his body look, pretty much how the proportions are going to fit in and everything. So what I always start off with is drawing a big circle for the head. That's what I always do. I've watched thousands and thousands of other people draw, and that's what a lot of other people do. That's how a lot of other people do art. And then you'll see that right after I draw the circle for the head, I quickly go down and start drawing a curved line. That curved line is going to be for how the body is moving, or how the spine is, where the spine is in the character. Also, I went out and already started sketching out how the proportions of the arms are going to be, the chest. And also, as you can see in the chest, it's a little bit wider than it is at the very bottom, because that's where the waist is. Also, I went in and already did the pants. I didn't do the legs, I just did the pants, because I knew how I wanted a little bit of a poofy pants for this guy, because he's going to be a fighter. And I went in, drew shoes. The shoes I was thinking about at the very beginning doing like a just straight triangle. And I was like, no, that's too simple. Let's make it a little bit more better. blanking on this one. Also, I went into the jacket. The big thing with the jacket is that the neck things right here, where the collar, I have them popped up. So that's going to be cutting through the jawline of his, jawline right here. So it's going to be covering it. But notice that I didn't just instantly go there and do that. I actually drew that in first. This is going a little fast, but maybe I'll pause a couple times along the way. So I'm going to go back to right where I was doing the jacket, after the jacket. So after the jacket, with that jacket in mind, I knew that he was not going to have a shirt on underneath the jacket. So I did draw a little chest line right here. As a guy, we really don't have what a lot of people would call cleavage. So we don't have that, but we do have a line right here that separates the two pectorals. So it's kind of like it is a cleavage. Continuing on with that, I also went in and did the collarbones and also the below the pectorals right here. And also, if you see right in the face, I did a line right down the middle. What that is so that I know which way he is facing, or the middle of his face where the line is going to be. Also went in and threw some abs in him. I mean, come on, he's a fighter, he needs abs. And here we go. Here's where everything is a little bit more complicated. So I just recently did a piece that was for, a commission for something that was similar to a video game called Shantae, Half Genie Hero, I think it was. And I did like how they did some of the characters' faces and how the proportions of the body for guys and also girls, they were completely different, but also it had that strange style that I really liked. So actually with the headband, I was going along with, I can't remember the character's name, but how his headband cuts off the tops of his eyes. So I could just do little quick lines right here and be fine with it. And I really liked how that came out whenever I was doing that piece, so I decided to integrate it into this piece right here. Also, with the headband, as you can see, I actually have a little area that it goes off the head. It comes off the head just a little bit, because if you're wearing a hat or a headband, there's going to be a little bit of an area where the cloth comes off your head. So you have to always think about that whenever you're drawing. Let's keep on going. I instantly erased the middle line. Normally, I would say not to do that. I was in a hurry. And normally I would say, please don't erase your line that quickly. Make sure that you have everything still on where that line is. But me, being me, I decided to erase the line so I can have a clean sketch. Which, your sketches are not going to be clean. Trust me, your sketches are not going to be clean. And also, remember whenever I was talking about feathering? The feathering technique, you can see it in all the line work, everywhere on this sketch. I am not doing clean, crisp lines every single time, hitting undo, hitting undo, hitting undo. What I am doing is that I'm sketching it, and if I have a mistake, I just keep on going. Or if it's too big of a mistake and I'm doing a big correction, I'll erase it, but I'm not just sitting there undo, 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 and getting a crisp, clean line every time. This is a base sketch. You don't need to be perfect on a base sketch. And continuing on, I did the nose, and the nose, I actually had a couple of ideas for the nose, but then after a while, I was like, the nose is fine. And also, where the mouth is, if you would have continued with that line that I had, there's different proportions whenever it comes to a face. If you take the head, chop it right in half, you'll have where the eye line is. That should be where the eye line is, and that's where the top of the ear will be. Also, if you chop that line in half, you should have where your nose, I think if I remember right, it's the end of your nose will be. And if you chop that little section right here between your nose and your chin in half, that's where your mouth normally is. But people are a little bit different whenever it comes to proportions, because sometimes your mouth is a little bit higher, sometimes it's a little bit lower. Your nose is a little bit higher, or sometimes a little bit lower. And it's really, really strange. And normally, eyes are about an eye distance. Like, take your normal eye and put it right in the middle. That's about the distance between both eyes. But because of how we drew him, or how I drew him, is that because he is facing to the side, that little area looks like that it's smaller. Reason being is because it's a perspective. We're looking on a different way so that it's seems like it's foreshortened. Also, if we're going to talk about layers real quick, all this is done in the same layer. That's where the sketch is. All done in the same layer. I'm not doing multiple layers, making sure I get crisp, clean lines. I'm doing it all in one layer. Some people would say that's a good idea. Some people would say it's a bad idea. Me personally, I would say it's a good idea because if you keep on doing too many layers, you might lose track of where you're at. And let's keep on going. Now the hair. The hair was a fun one. The hair that I decided to do was more along the lines of dreadlocks. And whenever I was looking into anime or also cartoon type of dreadlocks, the dreadlocks are not like thin, about that thin. I'm making these dreadlocks big, so it makes it so that I don't have to do a ton of different dreadlocks. It's like one huge dreadlock, and I mean not one huge dreadlock. It is like, it seems 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big dreadlock lines that's coming from his head. But also there is more in the back, but we'll see what I do with that because I will add more. Also because I wanted to not just have that straight line right here. I wanted something to come over it so that it would draw the viewer's eye up to where that is and then right into the hair. So that's pretty much me trying to force the viewer to look all around the piece. And also with that dreadlock, I do have the bottoms of the dreadlock because these dreadlocks, they come into like a flat area. So whenever it's in a flat area, whenever it's tilted up, it gives it more of a 3D feel if I put that little line right there. And let's keep on going. And that's where I paused for a second. I'm trying to think of what I was going to do. And now this is where I pretty much do that old anime thing of the hair kind of explodes off the back of the head. And also, I know I drew that ear. That ear, remember the ear goes where the eyes are. It starts where the eyes are. And normally if you have a line for anime or cartoons, for me, I have 2 lines that go straight across the face. And those lines are going to be the top and the bottom of the eye. So this right here, whenever it goes all the way to the end, that's where your ear is. And that's for me cartooning. I will always have that line, and where the top of the ear, top line is, I'll go with the top of the ear and come back down and grab the bottom line, and that's where the bottom of the ear is going to be. But because I kind of don't like drawing ears a lot, I like to cover them up with hair. But also you saw that I still drew the ear. That's just in case if the ear pokes out from the hair or anything like that. And let's continue on. And right now I'm going back in and I'm finding where the shadows are. Normally it depends on how I would do it. Sometimes I would do a monochromatic or a monochrome one color. Let's just say one color. It's easier to say that. I'll do a one color sketch of it. And then I'll fill in the shadows with the one color, different shades of that one color, or different tints, anything like that. And I'll fill in the shadows and everything like that. That's if I'm really doing a really hard piece. And I need to know exactly where I'm going to be putting those shadows. And I'll also test them and see if those shadows are good. Alright, but right now I'm just doing dark shadows where it's blacked out. And let's continue on. I put a little belt in there, and look, that little belt actually went off the body a little bit because it's not form fitted to him. Remember, if it's clothes, it's not going to be complete form fitted to the person. It's not always tailor-made. It comes off the body just a little bit. And let's continue. And right now I put a little patch on his leg, put a little bit of bandages on his arm, just for funsies. And right there, you know what I was measuring? I was measuring how long the pants are, or the legs, compared to the upper body torso. It looked like they were exactly the same. And me personally, I was like, okay, I understand them being exactly the same. That's a good idea. But I kind of wanted his legs to be a little bit longer. So I did go disproportionate and made his legs a little bit longer in the final piece. So as you can see, I looked at it and I was like, maybe I want to move it a little bit longer. So what I did was I selected the lasso tool, circled where I wanted. This is why it's good to do it on the same layer. Circled where it was, pulled it down, and then from there, I decided to quickly sketch the lines back in. So I didn't have to erase the whole leg and then start over. Don't do that. Don't whack all your data just because you don't like what it looks like for a second there. You can just like elongate it. That's the cool part about digital. You can mess around with it. You can move it, twist it, everything you want. That's what I love about it. And then I called it Mr. Scrappy, which is great. And the sketch is done. Now, what I did right there was I turned the opacity of the layer down. There's a little bar that's normally right on top of where all your layers are, and you can turn that slider down, and that right there will make it so that the opacity, aka how vibrant it is, it will turn it down and make it more transparent. Which opacity? Transparency. Opacity is more like opaque. Transparency is more transparent. There you go. All right, continuing on. Now this is where I'm doing the inking. The inking, I just made another little layer and I titled it as ink. Okay? I didn't title the other layer. Normally I titled it as sketch, but I titled this one as ink. Reason being is so that I do not mess up whenever it comes to, give me just 1 second. Just double checking. All right, perfect. Whew, we're going 15 minutes into this, guys. All right. What that means is so that I will not lose my place. And also, right here, this right here, I was testing out different pen types. There's a ton of different types of pens that you can use. And the pen types that I was using was a mapping pen. And also well, that's the normal pen that I normally use because it's a clean line. But I was looking at textured lines, see if I wanted to do a textured piece. But I decided against it. I just wanted a quick, clean line. And right here, as you can see, I'm continuously hitting Control Z whenever I don't get the line that I want. This is where the line work is very important, okay? Is whenever you are doing the outline or just lines. The sketch is not important to get clean lines, okay? You don't have to sit there and keep on going Control Z, Control Z, Control Z while you're feathering. That's why I say feathering is very good for sketches. Now, whenever you do line work, you do not want to feather. Please don't feather. It does not look good. Unless you can make it to a messy, nice style, then that's appealing to the eye, then go for it. But most people like a clean line. And this technique that I'm using right now, I learned from watching thousands of different types of artists and their live streams on how they do line work. And what they do is they do a quick line. They do a quick line, one gesture, one gesture. If it's not the gesture that they want, it doesn't look like the line that they want, they hit Control Z and they try again and try again and try again. But here's the deal. After doing that thousands of times, I just made another layer. After that first line and I got the right type of thickness, right curvature, everything like that, I made another layer. And this is where our line inking techniques are becoming pro, like inking like a pro, using multiple layers to get clean edges. And a lot of people don't always think about this, is that you have an infinite amount of layers, which is great. Well, if you have Photoshop or if you have Clip Studio Paint, you have an infinite amount of layers, which is fantastic. Use those layers because you go in, you do that first line, and then you do the second line in a separate layer. Guess what you can do? You can go over here, if I can get my cursor back, you can go over here and then erase, which is fantastic. That is absolutely great. You get to erase a little bit of what you just did. And look at the line. The line looks very, very clean, which is great. And now I'm just going in and doing different line works. And as you can see, I did a million of those lines trying to get just the right line. And trust me, you'll do it 1,000 times over and it gets really obnoxious, but you will find that one line that you really like. But also, here's another deal. I put in another layer. Reason being is because I have about 3, maybe 4 layers that I do separate line works on. And you'll see me hit the eyes on each one of them, which means that I can see them right then, or if I don't see them right then, to see which line am I intersecting with. Because look at this. You see that line intersection right there? I can just erase that perfectly fine and nothing is wrong. It's great. And keep on going. Right there, I just filled in a really dark shadow. What I always do now, I do dark shadows in my pieces so that, say, if there's a neckline right here, it's a dark shadow, and I just go right and just black it out. And also, whenever you're doing line art, sometimes you'll think about, hey, I would actually like to add this in. Normally, I would sketch it out first before I go into it, but I didn't have much time, so bada bing, bada boom. Also, you would see that sometimes, instead of the eraser tool, I'm using the same tool, same pen tool that I'm using, and turning on my transparency brush, which is right at the very bottom. You see the black, the orange, and then you see the alpha layer texture. Right there, that's how I'm doing it. That is what we call the transparency color. And hitting that, it's just like an eraser tool, but it's the same type of brush. It's great. And right now, I'm just doing quick line work, and as you can see, with all that line work, it's fantastic because I'm using different layers. That is very important. Please, 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 make sure to use your layers. And right now, let's keep her going, keep her going. I don't know what I was doing right there. I think I took a little break. All right. Took another little break, and now I'm doing the eyes. And the eyes themselves, I realized that I wanted the pupil to be a separate ink because I'm going to color it and keep it as an ink color. So I just left it there. And now you can see the bottom of that dreadlock. It looks like a little noodle. Okay, and let's keep on going. Alright, I did another little noodle. There's the sideburns. And the sideburns themselves, I actually kind of did it similar to how the people that did Shantae, I did it kind of similar to them. But as you can see, I'm still doing multiple layers. And that is very, very important. Please, people, use multiple layers. Especially whenever you're inking. And whenever I'm done with a lot of layers, I will actually hit the merge below button. Which if you right click the layer, it can say merge to the layer below. You just hit that and it will merge it to the layer below. And because they're all ink lines, you just keep on going. But make sure before you do that, you have to check to make sure that there's no other overlapping lines whenever you're doing that. And I know sometimes you'll forget and it's really annoying. And right now, actually, this is a little trick that I learned. And we're going to be actually talking about that whenever we're doing the filling in the base color. But right now, we are still going with the line art. This bandages, I know I should have popped it off the skin just a little bit, but I kind of left it there just to show you guys what it would look like. And it looks like it was just like, oh, an afterthought. After you made the arm, it's an afterthought. Like, oh, that'd be really cool to put some bandages on there. But I don't want to mess up my other line work and have it pop off. So, left that there for you guys, a little gift. And right now I'm going into the pants. And this was the stuff that I just did before the recording. And right now I'm just going quick and making different layers, having the quick dynamic lines. And also, remember, line thickness is very important whenever you're doing a piece. You can have a constant line thickness, which is cool, but if you have variable line thicknesses while doing line art, oh, it looks fantastic. And that's how you can change, like, if you're using a tablet like I do, I use a Wacom Cintiq tablet. That is actually how you can do the different pin pressures. And right there, actually, I'm going to stop right there for a second, if I can. There we go. Right there, as you saw, I put a separate layer for the pupils or the eyes. And then I went in, I locked the alpha layer. The alpha layer lock button is the lock button on the top with the little alpha layer symbol, which is, remember what I was talking about, the transparency layer? That's what it looks like, and it's sitting there right there. You hit that, that means you can color all over it, but it will not go outside lines. It's really cool. And it's very, very useful for whenever you are recoloring anything. So right now, woo, I mean, I have it back as the odds. Right now, I just made my base layer. And that right there, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to pause that. You know, whenever you're just sitting there and you're just coloring as fast as you can, it takes so gosh dang long. So I came up with a better idea, or also I didn't come up with a better idea. I watched somebody else do this better idea. And what they did was they used their selection tool, which was the magic wand in certain programs, and I selected where on my ink layer, I select it, and after I select it, I will go to my base layer because that selection is still there, like the outline is still there, the little marching ants, and then I would fill in that area on my base layer, not my ink layer, but my base layer, and fill that in. And it's pretty much coloring super quick, and I love it. But you have to select everything, and I have to make sure that your lines on your ink layer are closed off. If they're not closed off, then it'll spill into the background, and you don't want that. It's really messy. And there's the take too long thing, and there we go. See how quick that was? That was super quick, and I love it. And now I'm selecting the shirt, doing the same thing, but also with the shirt, sometimes you have to go back and use your pen tool and color. And right there I realized, that little area, I forgot to do the back of his arm. And right now I'm just going to continue doing the selection tool and coloring, just throwing in the base colors real quick. And right there I did the ink. Those were the dark shadows I was talking about. And right now, this is all that I'm doing is just putting in the base color. Always make sure to do the base color first before you do shading. Because if you're going to do base color, we'll actually get into shading in our next video. But right now, we're just doing quick base. And it's great. I love doing base colors. And here's the cool part. You see, I didn't like those shoes. So I went back and I changed them. That's the cool part about doing digital artwork, people. It's really easy just to keep on going. And each one of these colors has a separate layer. I have my base layer, I have my shirt layer, I have my pants layer, I have my headband layer, I have my hair layer, I have my eye layer, I have my pupil layer. Make sure that each one of your colors are in a separate layer. If it's one just pure color, make sure it's in a separate layer. Reason being is because if you decide to mark up or do the shading on one layer and your base layer is the same as your shirt layer, and you're like, okay, I need to get a good shadow behind the shirt. Whoops! Guess what you did? You done goofed. So make sure that all your colors are in separate layers, please. It will be very beneficial to you. And right now, all I'm doing is just doing the little eyes, and I did a transparency just to make sure everything was okay. And that's the end of this video. Part 2 will be on its way, that we will be teaching you guys, well, I'll be teaching you guys how to shade and everything like that. So I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.
Whoa. Before you guys leave, let me tell you something real quick. If you guys really want to support us, I know we have an Etsy store, but also we do have a Facebook page. And we do upload, and also we do update everybody on everything that all of our artists are doing. So we ask that please go over to our Facebook page, hit that like, and also follow us. I mean, come on, we want to talk to you guys. We want to know about you guys. Come on, come over here. It's fun on this side. Thank you all for watching. If you want to, you can go over to our channel and see more of our content. Also, right on the screen right now, we should have 2 videos up there that we think that you might like. Also, if you want to, please hit that like button if you did like the video, and also subscribe, because we do pump out content as fast as we can. And also, we do have a Facebook page and also an Etsy store if you want to go and support us or even talk to us. And we'll see you all in the next video. Bye.